Nosh is an avid scholar of Baba. He's written many, many wonderful books. He's working on a great new project right now as we speak. He'll elaborate on that. And so please pick his brain on any questions you might have. He's shared his journey with us sometimes in the past, but go ahead and pick his brain with anything that you wish to know on Baba, about Baba. So I give it to you, Nosh. Welcome.
Jai Meher Baba. Jai Baba. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I was there at the Northeast gathering yesterday as well, and I picked up on, or rather echoed, the story that Sally just narrated to you, which Charles narrated yesterday. And I thought I would add to that story since both Charles and I were there at the East-West gathering. And the basis of the story was that Baba repeatedly said that, remember, I'm always with you. So naturally, it stirs up the feeling of love and expectation and trust and hope. And we, during our spiritual journey, we try and rely on that promise that Meher Baba made to us. So in 1962, I had not met Baba for about 9 years or so. And that was in 1953 when I met him for an entire year, spent a time with him for an entire year in Dehra Dun and the foothills of the Himalayas. And when I came for the East-West gathering, we were all, the Westerners were sitting in front, and all the Easterners, mainly all the seekers from India, were divided into several different states. So they were put under Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and so forth. So I sat under Uttar Pradesh because Dehra Dun fell in that state, the town of Dehra Dun. So Baba had still not come on the stage. And to give you a little preamble to the East-West gathering, the gates of Guru Prasad had been closed and at a certain time had been given to us. And I remember I stood outside with my parents outside the gate, and there were hundreds of people standing outside the gate. And as soon as the gates opened, we all made a mad rush inside, imagining that we would not get a place to sit or even to stand, because there were hundreds and thousands of people trying to get in, old and young, and even people on crutches were rushing to hopefully get close to the stage where Baba would be sitting, or they felt that they would miss his darshan. So I remember running and trying to get a place to sit, and when we landed there, it was under a huge tarpaulin, what they call a shamiana, were chairs put up for various different people. Beg your pardon? Did somebody say something? No. So then we were all seated, and Baba had still not come on the stage. And a few minutes later, Baba, supported by Adike Rani and Dr. Bharucha, walked onto the stage. And at that moment, you could actually feel Baba sending out waves and waves of love to all those who had gathered to be in his presence. I remember my hair stood on edge as I started to weep and sob as Baba came closer and closer and then sat down, and Irich adjusted the pillows around him. And as I looked around, I saw everyone was crying. Everyone had tears in their eyes, men and women. There were not too many children at that time that I saw, but there were lots of men and women all around. And of course, everybody in unison cried out, Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. And it seemed as if the clouds would rent with the sound of calling out to the beloved. So soon after, Dr. Harry Kenmore uttered the Master's prayer, and that was a riveting moment as well, because he spoke the Master's prayer with a great deal of emphasis on each word. Some of you may have heard his recording. He spoke with a very loud and powerful voice. So while we were waiting for, they had to form lines in order to go and take Baba's darshan. And as I sat on the chair, waiting to be called, and because each state had to go one by one and take Baba's darshan so that the stage would not get crowded. So while I was seated, I thought to myself, will Baba recognize me? It's been 9 years. Will he know that I am Naosherwan? Because I was a young boy then and I had grown up. I think I was about 16 years old at that time. And as I was thinking, a voice came on the microphone. It was Irich who said, Baba would like Naosherwan to come to the stage. So this is just to give you a little insight into how Meher Baba knows your heart. And in this case, he proved it. So I hurriedly went on to the stage, clambered onto the stage. It was a little at a height. And embraced Baba, kissed Baba, touched his feet, held on to his feet for some time. And it's a very sublime moment to embrace Baba, because when he embraced you, you were trying to embrace him very gingerly, because you felt that you had heard reports of his not being in good health. And even for the East-West gathering, he was not in very good health. And the next thing you found is that he was embracing you firmly. And when you kissed him, it was as if you were kissing the cheeks of a woman. They were soft. And as I had mentioned yesterday, you normally don't use the word sweetness for a man, but there was a certain sweetness in embracing Meher Baba and kissing Meher Baba. And his feet were soft, and you wanted to hold on to them, and you wanted to caress them, and did not want to let go. And I had an opportunity many years later, in 1965, to massage his feet and his legs when I met him for the last time in 1965. So it was at that moment he asked me about my studies, how I was doing, and I told him that I was not doing too well in maths. And he says, "Don't worry, even I was not very good at maths when I was in school." So that reassured me, and that was it was a very, very powerful moment for me, because when you sit at Baba's feet, there were 10,000 people in the audience, and my mother was designated to stand at the edge of the platform. So she stood there for hours and hours and hours, just staring at Baba, just staring at Baba. And of course, I saw my mother standing right there. My mother was a very, very devoted follower of Meher Baba. Once, when she'd gone for darshan, she and my father, I had not gone. My father and my mother had gone for darshan to Mehrabad in 1958. Baba had given darshan in the lower Mehrabad Mandli Hall. And suddenly, on a whim, he decided to walk up to the tomb bare feet, bare feet. So as he was walking up the tomb, my mother would walk behind him and pick up the dust from under his feet. And we have that stored very carefully in bottles at Beloved Archive. I presume all of you know that we have an archive in Hamilton, New Jersey called Beloved Archive, with a very large collection of material on Meher Baba, documents, photographs, films, and so forth. So anyway, to continue with the story, we were sitting on the, I was sitting on the stage at Baba's feet, and then one by one, people were coming and bowing down to him. And then I recognized one of the young men from Dehra Dun who came to bow down at his feet. And what he did was something crazy. He broke a bottle of Chanel perfume at Baba's feet right in front of my eyes. And I got so concerned that the glass shards would hurt Baba's feet. But he had made plans to wrap it up in his handkerchief. But what he wanted to do was take the perfume, Chanel perfume, and apply it on Baba's feet, which he did. So different people came with different desires. Some people came with large garlands, some people came with small garlands, some people came with food, gifts, fruits, all kinds of things. Anything they could give to the beloved. Some people came with money in envelopes, that kind of thing. And the money was promptly returned to them. So while I was sitting on the stage, I saw a scenario being enacted that was very, very touching. Now, on the stage were several different people. And at the far end of the stage was this woman whose name was Mona Sakre. Now, she was the wife of Group Captain Sakre. He was a very senior officer in the Air Force. In fact, he was so senior that when there was the war with China, India and China, he sat on the War Council along with Prime Minister Nehru, and he had the guts to take a copy of Meher Baba on War and give it to every single cabinet member as well as the Prime Minister and let them know Meher Baba's views on war. He was a very gutsy man. So she was his wife. This lady, Mona Sakre, was his wife. And she was sitting at the far end of the stage. Now, I had known the couple because they were from Dehra Dun and I'm from Dehra Dun. So then at one point, Baba turns to Erich and says, call Mona over here. And Baba, and so Erich walks over to her and says, Baba wants to see you. And she turns her face. She does not respond to Erich. So Baba sends her again and says, tell Mona to come here. And Erich again goes to her and says, Mona, Baba wants to see you. And then very reluctantly, she walks to Baba and she bows down. Baba embraces her and she bursts out crying. And Baba says, I know that you suffer a great deal. Now, Mona Sakre used to be in and out of the hospital and doctor's offices. She was in very bad health and suffered a great deal. So Baba tells her that I give you an infinitesimally small amount of suffering. Do you know how much I suffer? But I give to a select few an infinitesimally small amount of suffering so they can share with me. And you can't even share that little suffering? And she sobs all the more, and Baba takes out his handkerchief and dabs her face very lovingly. And she feels a lot better, and then she goes back to her seat. But this whole scenario made a very strong impact on me as I was watching it unfold and unfurl. Baba's compassion, Baba's love, his sense of understanding, his caring, his understanding of what each individual has to undergo and how he handles each individual according to their own needs. When Baba says, remember, I am always with you, what does it mean? What does it mean to say, when Baba says, I'm always with you? It means well, we are in the same, Baba is not in this physical form anymore. He's not with us in the physical form. But what he means is that I will take care of your needs according to your needs and with my understanding of your needs. So what do we need to do now that Baba is not in the body? We don't get letters from him. We don't get cables from him. We don't get circulars from him. I used to get all those. And what do? I don't get any of those things from him anymore, the way I used to. So what do? And what should you do is seek his inner guidance. His inner guidance. And he, during his lifetime, worked with each one individually according to their needs. I had my needs, and he dealt with each of my needs. Today we only have an hour's long session, but I have so many stories to narrate about my time with him and how he fulfilled my needs from time to time. But always remember that he is my Baba. The Meher Baba that I knew is my Meher Baba. The Meher Baba that you know is your Meher Baba. Your Meher Baba cannot be my Meher Baba, and my Meher Baba cannot be your Meher Baba. So he is your Meher Baba, and you have to relate to him on your own terms, with your own feelings, with your own emotions. So what happens? We experience him in different ways. We experience him in different ways. You often hear stories about how so-and-so came to Meher Baba. You hear a story, he came to me in a dream. Somebody would tell you that I experienced his touch. I felt his presence when he was not around. I can say with a degree of honesty that Baba speaks to me. When I speak with him, when I speak to him, I wish him good morning when I get up, and I wish him good night when I go to sleep. Because I want to communicate with him all the time. When I have a problem and I find that it doesn't have a resolution or a solution, I will talk to him. I will talk to him threadbare with all its warts and molds. I will talk to him and explain to him what the problem is. And I've had several occasions where I've come to a point where I've hit a brick wall. Baba, I just don't have the solution. When we were constructing Beloved Archives and expanding it, I had an incredible problem of construction. The town, the construction people would come and say, sorry, tough luck, you're messed up. Nothing we can do. The town hall people came and said, this looks like an insoluble situation. When everything else failed, I turned to Meher Baba and I said, Baba, I've reached the end of my tether. Show me the way. And I explained it to him. Next morning, there was a woman who was walking outside and she said, I understand you need help. She was from the city council and she came and helped me and resolved the situation. So this doesn't happen by happenstance. It does not happen per chance. You have to work towards it. So what happens is that you are working through your inner guide. You're reaching out to him through inner guide. And suddenly you find, where did Baba go? I'm not getting his guidance anymore. What's wrong? Well, is something wrong with me? Yes, there's something wrong with you. Because you are blocking that inner guidance. You are stopping it in its tracks by your lack of trust in him. And when you lack that trust in him, you lack faith in him. And when you lack faith in him, your love and your surrender that you claim that you have already surrendered takes a beating. And you wonder, what is it that why is this inner guidance blocked? Because of our idiosyncrasies, our shortcomings, our feelings of anger, our lust, our greed, our anxiety, all these things add up to stop the flow of inner guidance between you and beloved Baba. So what do is we consciously let go of our negative emotions. Very often we wonder, we get these emotions within us, they well up. How do we know that they are negative or they are positive? We need to label them. You know, when I conduct courses in meditation, I tell them that anytime you have thoughts that come within your mind, label your thoughts so that you can get rid of it. So you need to label those thoughts, your emotions that come up on the surface. You see, the thing is that your emotions are an integral part of you. I've heard so many people say that when we go to Baba's tomb and we bow down, all our emotions come up. They come up on the surface. So what are those emotions? They are negative emotions like froth coming up on the surface. When you see a ditch of dirty water, you see that down below there's water, but what is above the water is all froth and dirt. So this dirt comes up on the surface. And that is what Meher Baba works with. He works with your dirt. And what is that dirt? That dirt is your suffering. The suffering that you go through is that dirt. And he wants that dirt from you. He wants that dirt so he can work with it. He needs something to work with it. If you don't give him anything to work with it, how will he work with it? So you have to give him that dirt. And give him that dirt is not the end of the story, because you have not let go of that dirt. You're holding on to it. You're clinging on to it. He wants you to completely put the dirt at his feet. And what is the end product? The end product, the end result? You rely wholly and solely on him to take care of those issues that face you. Rely wholly and solely on him. That is the meaning of surrender. That is what Baba expects from you. He never said that following him was easy. It's difficult. It's hard. But he shows you the path. And he knows your heart very well. Because when he awakened you, he gave you a gift. He gave you the gift of conviction in his divinity and in the conviction that you are divine and that your path is clear as you hold on to him and head towards the ultimate goal, which is God realization. And that's not some far-off utopian dream. It's a practical way to hold on to his Dhamma and to go on our spiritual journey as he leads us on. It ended up as a monologue. I thought that I would answer simple questions. Please.
Okay, anyone with questions, please raise your hand and welcome to ask Nosh anything you wish.
Beg your pardon?
No, I'm just telling everyone to to raise their hands, whoever's interested to ask you a question. And I think we have Meher. Jai Baba Meher.
Jai Baba. Nosh, whatever you said at the last part was totally true. Totally true what you said. I totally agree. Because I always, when I talk to another friend of mine called Yasmin, and we both have the same share, what we want telling, that people should understand what is the love of Baba and how to react to it. But some people don't. They just say something and that's it. And I really love what you said. Really. All the best to you. Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Paula?
Naosherwan, I'm glad this is recorded. I wish that I could remember Baba immediately when I get scared. While you were talking, we had a 4.2 earthquake here, and my whole house.
You're meaning where? You're meaning where?
I'm on Camino Island in Washington State.
Ah.
And yeah, it was just right across, it was real close. It was right across from me on Whidbey Island. And the whole house.
Okay? Is everything okay?
Yeah, it was like a hit. It was, so it's like, okay, thank you, Baba. So I'm glad this is recorded and I can get back to it.
Yeah, he's always with us. Josh, you're next.
Yeah, I feel like you touched on this a little bit, and I think it was really awesome what you were saying. It's really cool. I love your monologuing, so don't feel bad about it. I was wondering if you've got anything about Baba and pain, or not just like sort of physical pain, but just sort of difficulty in general. You know, it seems to me that so much of the time, my job as a Baba lover is being my own cheerleader. And with you know, sort of connecting with Baba and sort of getting myself to push through the difficulties. Is there anything you have to say about that? I'm wondering.
I think I did touch on that subject, and I may have used the word suffering instead of pain, because pain is a part of a collection of opposites. You feel good, and you let go of pain, and you're feeling good. You're feeling healthy, but pain is an integral part of. It's like black and white, night and day. You need to. It's very important for you to go through pain and to go through suffering. So let me tell you a little story. So when Baba was suffering a great deal, I suffered a great deal because we kept on hearing bits and pieces of news from Mehrezad. Baba's not well. Nobody knew what was wrong with him. We heard the doctors were going there. And we who loved him so much agonized over this fact. So even though Baba had given instructions not to write letters to him, I wrote one because I was suffering a great deal. I was suffering a great deal of pain in his pain. So I wrote to him about how concerned I was, how painful I felt that he was in pain. And the stories we used to hear was that he used to be in constant pain. And I happened to, in later years, when I went to Mehrezad, I actually saw him suffer. So he wrote back to me, and I want to share that with you. He wrote back to me when I told him about how much I suffered because of the suffering that he was undergoing. He wrote, "My physical body, which alone is visible to your physical eyes, appears all affected and afflicted. But it is all due to the tremendous pressure of the burden of universal suffering that I shoulder on my universal body that tells upon my physical body, with which you are conversant and which is the only medium for you to see me and feel me in the gross world. Soon after I break my silence, all the universal suffering will end. And then he added, rest assured, one day my grace will be on you to know me as I am. So these were some of the many messages that Baba wrote in his letters that I've culled and put them together. So Baba, if you go through his discourses from time to time, he said that suffering and pain was a gift that he was giving you, that it was important for you to go through that in order to let go of your sanskaric attachments, your mental impressions, which are the result, which cause you to have that pain. So if you feel good, it's because of your mental impressions that you've accumulated over several lifetimes. If you're in pain, it's because of your mental impressions. So Baba says, feel happy if you get that pain, because then you are letting go of those mental impressions. And your goal should be to let go of those mental impressions, as many as you possibly can.
Beautiful answer, Naosherwan, as always. And after we go with Marta, I would like to ask you on that same theme that you just spoke, your own personal story with regard to your son Mehrab when you first came here. I know you went through a lot with that and with him being ill. So if you would share that later on, that would explain that point, bring that point home as well. That your faith in Baba is what finally turned the corner for you at that stage of your life. That would be a wonderful share if you so desire.
Now or later?
Well, let's go with Marta first.
Okay.
Naosherwan, my question is, will you tell us a story about your son?
Oh, touch me.
Yes, yes. I was hesitating because I didn't want to bring up pain for you, but I thought, my God, what a story that you can tell us the greatest agony of your child. So that would be so kind.
Well, as a child, as a small baby, Baba put me through a medical crisis myself. I went through it. Fortunately, my parents had the conviction in his divinity and obeyed him for a very difficult very difficult solution that he gave. I'm not narrating that just now. But down the many years later, my son, who was 4 years old, developed acute myeloid leukemia, which translates to blood cancer. So when you're growing up, you don't hear too much about leukemia and acute myeloid leukemia. These are all medical terms that you normally don't hear about. But when we went to the doctor, he told us that the little boy would not be able to live beyond 6 months or even less, unless he was taken to the United States or to any other country which had the medical means or the drugs to put him through that treatment. So we made a lot of, we took a decision. In fact, it wasn't much of a decision in the sense that we decided that we would take him to San Francisco, where there was a Baba lover who was the doctor, and her boss was an expert on childhood leukemia. And this was, the doctor told us on a Thursday, and on a Sunday or a Monday, we were on the plane to California. But I just wanted to give you a couple of instances as to how difficult it was becoming to fulfill this desire to treat him. He didn't have a passport or a visa, but we did, his parents did. So we went to the passport office, and it was a Saturday and it was closed. There was only one man sitting there. And we requested him and explained why we wanted a visa. So he says, look, I'm putting my job on the line by stamping him on your passport, and give a visa for him to. We already had our visas from another trip that we had taken. So then we went to the visa was the second part. We didn't have a passport. So we went to the American Embassy, and the American Embassy Saturday was closed. So there was a guard there, and we explained to the guard what we were going through. So he felt very sorry for us, and he said, look, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm going to call the lady. And we had heard the name of the lady. She was a very strict lady and would not do anything that was not in line with her duties. And she called me. I got her on the phone, and I explained to her why I needed to have a passport for my son. And she said, I'm at the doctor's just now, but I will come in the afternoon. Wait for me. And she came, and she then immediately took out a passport, made out a passport quickly, and gave it to us, which was very much not in her character to do so, because I used to work for an airline, and I had heard horror stories about her. But we felt that Baba was turning the key. So we went there. So earlier, before we had decided to go, we had meeting with a couple of doctors, and they said, don't go to the United States if you cannot afford to. I said, but how much will it cost? They said, sky's the limit. They would keep on repeating this sentence over and over again. Sky's the limit, sky's the limit. So I didn't have an idea as to what they meant. So we then went to, we made a quick rushed trip by car to Merazad, and met with Mera and with the Mandli. And Mera did something that she never does, according to the Mandli. She went to Baba's picture and said that, Baba, keep your nazar on this child and cure him. She just said that. And she gave us Baba's sandals, which we carried with us. And we then came to Bombay. But by this time, before that, we had called up some of the Baba lovers in the area to check with them as to how much it would cost if this doctor took, my son's name is Mehrab, if they took Mehrab under his care. And they said, well, just ask him to bring him over, and we'll arrange for some $4,000 in experimental funds from a university. We'll arrange for that. But sky is the limit, is what I was told. So I approached Pete Townsend, who, as you know, is the lead guitarist of the Who and a very wealthy man. So we finally, and my company transferred me to San Francisco. I went and met the bosses, managing director and all that, and they had never encountered a case like this. So they gave me a transfer at my full salary. I used to work for Air India at that time, and I was transferred to San Francisco. And we landed at London airport and we had to change planes. No, the plane was going directly. We had to change planes in New York. So when we landed at London airport, my son was going gray by the minute. He was losing color. And at that moment, I got 2 calls at the same time. One from a barber lover with a letter saying that Pete Townsend would take care of all the expenses. And another phone call that said that $4,000 was a mistake and that there would be no $4,000 available to us. These were from teaching funds, and that they had thought that this was an American child. But when they found out it was not an American child, they withdrew the offer of the $4,000. In any case, we landed in San Francisco. We changed planes in New York, landed in San Francisco, and there was a group of barber lovers at the station, at the airport. But there was also this thing, what would you call it, the stretcher, and with an IV. And we had not told her son, we had told him we were planning to go to Disneyland. We had not told him that he was going for treatment. And there was a nurse and a stretcher and an IV. And he was put on it and we were rushed to the hospital. And there we were met by the doctor. He was considered one of the world's finest doctors in childhood leukemia. And his assistant was a barber lover. And her name was Kate Mathey. And the doctor's name was Dr. Arthur Ablin. So he was put under treatment, and they used all kinds of experiments, and they would come for my signature every day because they were using experimental drugs and they would need my approval. But then also we had no money, and the hospital would give us stacks of bills every day, like $1,500, I'm talking about 1974. I mean, stacks and stacks of bills which were mounting up, thousands and thousands of dollars. So what I did was that I decided that I would raise money, and I launched a campaign to raise money throughout the world. And we were able to get money. People sent in money, Zoroastrians from India, from Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand. And we got a large sum of money from Iran, from a Zoroastrian Irani philanthropist who sent us a large sum of money. As it turned out, Pete Townsend had sent money, but it was sent from an offshore. Account, and it ended up in the hospital coffers, and we never got that money. So so then we were there for a year. We were there for several months, and then they gave him. Then after many months, he went into remission. So then we were able to go back to. He was kept in. A barber lover had given a home to us because he was not allowed to go out anywhere. And so during the day, we would take him to see a movie in a theater which was empty. And so we would not go out anywhere. And we had to go for blood tests on a regular basis, biopsies and so forth. And then we came to came back to India, but one of the preconditions of their continuing to give us drugs was that we had to be on a protocol, because he had become a test case. He had become an experimental child. So they were trying out experimental drugs on him, something that I had permitted to go ahead with, because there were no chances. Time and time again, we reached a point where the doctor would come and say, I don't think he's going to live beyond tomorrow. Something like that. So it was a very hard time, and my wife's complete faith in Baba and my complete faith in Baba, we knew very well that Baba would take care of this child, because we were leaving him in his hands. And Erich would write to me every second, third day, and money and messages from Mera, that we have to leave it to Baba, that we had to leave it to Baba, that we should make every effort, but leave the results to Baba. And whatever the results, that was what Baba was best for the child. So it was very difficult for my wife, but very difficult for my wife. So, and at that time, we needed blood transfusions. So Baba lovers lined up to give blood transfusions. There was a blood bank in Los Angeles that sent us blood, so forth. We came back to India again. And when we came back to India, we continued, but then he developed herpes, very large boils all over his body. He got an infection. And he also had another infection, 2 infections. And they said that drugs had to come from India, from the United States. And now the issue came up, how are we going to get these drugs? So I was working for an airline, as I told you. I told my doctor, who got in touch with a hostess from American Airlines, who she gave the drug to. The hostess from the American Airlines flew to New York and handed over the drug to a hostess in Air India. Then the Air India hostess flew to London and handed it over to the hostess flying from London to Bombay. And then it had to be within 48 hours, the drug had to be administered. And when she landed in Bombay, I was at the airport to take the drug and rush it to the doctor to administer it. And he was able to control the infection. So then one of the conditions was that we had to go every year for a biopsy and a general checkup, because he was considered a teaching child. So we had to fill up lots of forms, because the doctor had to fill up a lot of forms. And then finally we reached a stage where the doctor said, look, the doctor in Bombay said, this is where my work ends. There isn't very much I can do beyond this. You will have to take him to the United States. So I approached my management if they would transfer me. And the management said, look, we've never transferred somebody on these scores. And then my case went up to the Prime Minister of India. And he gave the approval for me to be transferred to San Francisco. And Mehrab, we took him for treatment to San Francisco. And then, of course, we continued the treatment. I was transferred to New York, and then I continued. And then after some time, he went into remission, and he continues to be in remission till this day. He's now 48 years old by Baba's grace.
And a proud father.
And mother.
And mother. No, he's a proud father.
He's a proud father, yes.
There you go. Yes.
Yes.
So, thank you, Nosh. That was wonderful. Thank you. So see, whatever your circumstance that you find yourself in, long and short of this is that if you truly and honestly leave it all to Baba, he has to take over. He has to.
Absolutely. I want to add a little addendum to this. So the doctor, Dr. Ablin, was a very wealthy doctor. He was a Quaker. And he was a very, very wealthy man. So he invited us for lunch just before we were to leave the next day. And my wife and I were racking our brains. What gift should we take for him? What do you give a man who has 5 cars in his driveway and a bungalow and a massive house and everything you can think of? So what I did was, I had, by the time The Beloved had been printed, the book, The Beloved, The Life and Work of Meher Baba, had been printed, published. So I wrote on the front of the book, I said, "Dear Dr. Ablin, may God bless the hands that heal." And I gave it to him as a gift. And that was all I gave. So then the next year, when we went back, he invited us for lunch again. And as soon as I walked into his living room, I see the book on his table. And he turns to me and he says, "I know what you're thinking, that I've brought out the book and put it over there since you were coming." He says, "I've had this book since you gave it to me last year. I've gone through the book, I've read the book. Of course, I cannot understand Meher Baba's silence. But what I understood was why you had faith in this man for the remission of your child. Because that was the goal. The goal was remission. And that's what. So Meher Baba's silence may have been a question mark for the doctor, but he recognized the reason why we were with Meher Baba.
Anyone else have a question, please? Oh, Rich, go ahead.
Are you all night owls or something? You don't sleep?
Oh, yeah. Every Sunday night.
I have a question, but it's also a statement. But I have been reading The Glow pretty religiously for years and years and years, and I have copies going back, who knows, 20 years, I don't know. But
this is the 57th year of The Glow.
Yeah, and I'm older than that, so I must have a lot. But I want to compliment you. I look forward to it every month, and the quality of it really impresses me. But for example, the one that just came, there's this magnificent picture of Delia de Leon. I had no idea I'd never seen that before. She was so beautiful as a young woman. But I mean, that sort of thing for me is important. And I thank you very much, Naosherwan. I know it's a great effort, but thank you.
I wanted to put a plug. For those who are not subscribers of The Glow, we have now introduced a digital Glow for 2 years for $30. And if you feel that you cannot afford the $60 for a print publication, you may want to consider a digital subscription to The Glow for $30 for 2 years.
Josh?
Yes, this is the question that I ask lots of different people, but it's if you were to give Baba lovers of the future one piece of advice, and you were to distill it down to one piece of advice, what would it be? I'm sorry, it's a hard one.
No, it's not a hard one. I will repeat what I asked Erich Jasavala. One day I had interviewed him extensively at Meher Azad, and the last question I asked him, I said, I'm going back to the United States, and I've been invited at savas, at one of the savas that they were holding, is there a message that you want me to give to American Baba lovers? And he said, yes. Tell them to be natural. I think that encompasses everything. And then one more thing I want to add, which he told me, which I religiously been following for years and years. When I was living in Merazad for a period of time, he would go in at just before dinner. He would go in, close the door, and sit with Baba. Just he and Baba, Irat Chisawala and Baba. So I one day asked him, what do you say to Baba when you go in? What do you say? So he had a little prayer that he said, which he said. But then what touched me the most was what he said. He said, just before I leave the room, I say, beloved Baba, please always keep me in your presence. And I say that every single day. Beloved Baba, please always keep me in your presence. Because if I were not in his presence, I don't know what I would do. I would do all kinds of crazy things, as we all do. So it's a tip for you to follow. Beloved Baba, please always keep me in your presence.
Okay, and we have Vijay next.
Jai Baba, Naosherwan ji, I'm from Pune.
Jai Baba, Vijay, I can only see your face in the shadow.
Yeah. Maybe I can now. Yeah. So, yeah, you said that in 1962 East-West gathering, there were no children. But I was 11-year child.
Me too.
Standing back.
No, what I meant to say was that I did not see children in the under large Shamiana.
Right.
There were
Yeah,
about
I guess.
10,000 adults, but we didn't see too many children. And then as the lines grew longer and longer, we saw people coming with children in their arms and so forth, babies.
And,
But,
yeah.
we didn't see children standing in queue.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you said rightly, the eyes. Even I was crying when I saw he comes on the stage, he waves to the crowd.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the tears flows
Right.
so constantly, means that's amazing. And the rains.
Yes,
That's
it rained
only I
that day.
remember.
But
Yeah,
you know, Vijay, the interesting thing was that when I saw Baba 9 years back, when he was, or even earlier, when I saw him, when he was in Dehra Dun during the New Life, and he used to travel to Motichur and Hardwar and so forth. Baba had long flowing hair, and he was used to walk fast, and he had a good looking. He was very, 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 very attractive. Baba was a very attractive man, any which way you looked at it. So I had remembered Baba as somebody strong, very on the go. And then when I saw him at the East-West gathering, Baba looked old. He was heavy set. He was he didn't look as attractive as he looked many, many years back. And yet, you could feel his beauty, his majesty. You could see his beauty, his majesty, as if a royalty was coming out. You never saw him as an old man who was heavy set. He looked beautiful, attractive. That was because he would switch it on and off. He used to suffer a great deal on the inside, but when he came out in front of his lovers, he was majestic. He was beautiful. That was what our Meher Baba looked like.
So I just wanted to know your views on meditation. My father, he used to do 7 to 8 hours meditation every day, and he used to enjoy. He used to get absorbed. But I never had any interest in meditation. Even when I pray to Baba, even early in the morning and evening prayers, the thoughts keeps coming. Means the mind is so many thoughts, and so spontaneous meditation is also means I don't know. Means I just wanted to know your views on since.
You know, if you go to my site, belovedarchives.org, and you go on the Meher Baba channel, you'll see that I've conducted several meditation sessions. I would suggest that you have a look at it. Of course, I would, if you were here or if you were on Zoom or whatever, I would be happy to share what I know about meditation, because Meher Baba taught meditation to my mother himself directly. And I have been sharing what I've learned from Meher Baba over the years on the subject of meditation. I'm a very strong believer in meditation, because what it helps you with is it helps you with eliminating negative thoughts. It of course takes time. It's a period of time, but it helps you eliminate negative thoughts because you're so focused on Baba. So take, for example, now, you sit with your eyes closed for a few minutes and you say, Baba 1, Baba 2, Baba 3, Baba 4, Baba 5, Baba 6, Baba 7, Baba 8, Baba 9, Baba 10. By the time you reach Baba 10, you will discover that your mind is blank. Try it and see. Then go back to Baba 1, Baba 2. So first, as a beginner, try this and see whether your mind goes blank. And then you won't need the crutch of the numeral. Because what is important is why you can't meditate is because you get negative thoughts. So if you got these negative thoughts all the time and you decided to label them, oh dear, that man was so mean to me. You already identified that thought and you labeled it. Mean, I have to get rid of, and I have to get rid of that bad feeling for that man who was mean to me. So you label that. I've been so angry with this man in the market. Anger. You label that. So what will happen is, as you go along, you will be labeling these thoughts and trying to eliminate that. Again, it doesn't happen overnight, but you eliminate these thoughts very gradually. And then who takes over? Baba takes over, because you're repeating his name. So as you go along, sit in front of Baba's image, and you will suddenly realize, where did my negative thoughts go? Or where did my thoughts go? So as you're breathing, Baba emphasized breathing. Breathe out. Keep your out breath longer, and then your in breath. Your out breath has to be long. So Ba. So he taught my mother. Ba, 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 ba. My mother was a very devoted Avastha prayer. She would be reading the Avastha for hours at end. She was a Zoroastrian, very devout Zoroastrian. Baba told her to put it all aside and just repeat his name every day. And that's what she did till the age of 99. Ba, 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 ba. And you'll realize that nothing else is important. Nothing else matters. Somebody at the Savas yesterday said, you're devoting all your time to Baba's work. I said, is there anything else that's worthwhile? There's nothing else that's worthwhile except service to Baba and loving Baba. And if you can die with his name on your lips, usse acha aur kya hoga? What is better than that?
Baba asked me to take his name in answer to my question. Baba, I get scared in the darkness. And that was in 1960, Guru Prasad. And Baba asked me, do you take my name? I said, no, Baba. I just shake my head. And Baba said, take my name. So taking his name, of course, I try to take his name. I try to remember that. And yeah, that's
Vijay,
yeah.
we say Jai Meher Baba all the time. Don't we say that? As if we were saying good morning, good evening, good night. ऐसे ही बोल देते हैं Jai Meher Baba. But to Meher Baba, and since you were there at the East-West gathering, when I was sitting on the stage, I noticed one thing every single time. You know, people, there were 10,000 people there. Somebody out of the blue would say, Jai Meher Baba. And Baba's hand would go to his heart. Jai Meher Baba. Baba's hand would go to his heart. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai. Baba's hand would go to his heart. For him, it was not just frivolity. It was very meaningful to say Meher Baba's name. He has given you a gift. His name. Aur kya chahiye? What else do you want? What else do you need? He's given you his name. Make the best use of it. I'm sorry I've exceeded your time limit.
Thank you. Thank you. Naosherwan ji, very kind of you.
We have two more, and then I think we will call it a night if nobody else would like to come in. And so Nasreen, go ahead.
Jai Baba Naosherwan.
Oh, Nasreen, Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. How are you?
Good. Nice to see both of you.
Nice to see you too, my dear. I just wanted to ask a question regarding when Iraj said to be natural. What does he mean? What does he mean?
You know, human nature is such that there is a Hindi word which I'll translate for you. It's a very nice word. It's called mukhota. Mukh means face. Khota means the wrong face. So we as human beings put on a wrong face and we put on a right face. So, and as a result, we are constantly in conflict. Should I put on the right face or the wrong face? Should I be natural or unnatural? The way you have natural and unnatural sanskars, you are each day of your life, we are not natural. So Irish probably meant it in the sense that when you love Baba, when you have surrendered to Baba, be natural in your love for him. Don't hesitate to share that love with others. Don't hesitate to share his name with others. That would be your natural self as a lover of the beloved. To be hesitant, to not to share, would be selfish and unnatural. And that is what I have tried to do in my life. That I will, anywhere I go, I will try and mention Meher Baba's name. Then where the name falls is Baba's job. Whether it falls in his heart or anywhere else, it's up to Baba.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dinku? You're muted, Dinku. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Naosherwan. This is a wonderful, wonderful talk.
Thank you, Baba.
I just wish to ask you the significance of saying the 101 names. I know Baba said that once you say that, you don't need to say any other prayer. But, you know, if we say the 101 names and we also keep repeating Baba's name, is that enough?
Yes, I know. I don't repeat 101 names of Baba. But because if you know, I started my sharing this evening by saying that Baba gives us inner guidance. Now, his inner guidance, his position is so high that when we call out to him and seek his inner guidance, he responds. So what is the best way of calling out to him? Is through the prayer, the master's prayer. That prayer is so meaningful. It's so meaningful that if you were to recite that prayer from your heart, Baba will listen to you and respond to you. And the way to recite that prayer is to be meaningful about each word is in the prayer. And say, if your thoughts wander, go back to it over and over and over again till you are able to focus completely on the prayer. And you'll see that you will receive that inner guidance that he has promised you. Again, all these things take a period of time. We are all human beings. We have our frailties. And we have to balance, as Baba repeatedly said, the head and the heart. The head and the heart. We just have to maintain a balance all the time.
Thank you.
Feel free to write to me if you have any questions. My email is mehrbaba@aol.com.
Thank you. I will.
And
Are you in Bombay?
Yes, I'm in Bombay.
Jaya?
Thank you, Nosh.
Thank you, Jay.
They're very fortunate today. Thanks to Baba, I'm able to listen to you today.
I'm glad.
This is such a wonderful lecture. And just I want to say everyone that Baba's name is so powerful. That my parents, that since my childhood, I am Baba lover because my parents, they were the Baba lovers from Andhra. Then my parents, because I have seen them in front of me, that both of them, that last name, they took Baba's name. They were always with Baba only. They always memorizing Baba's name only. And last words were also Baba. And then the words are so powerful. They are suffering and they pain. They never felt it. They literally, I have seen it. I am a physician. I saw that. Usually such a painful conditions also. They never felt that. That much
grace.
powerful Baba's name.
That was his grace. That was his grace.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Avtar Meher Baba ki.
Baba ki jai.
Thank you very much.
Meher
Baba ki jai.
Avatar Meher
Baba
Baba
ki jai.
Jai.
Naosherwan, thank you ever so much for your scintillating talk and your loving sharing with all of us. I'm sure all of us benefited greatly from it. So thank you once again.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Thank you.
Jai
Jai Baba. Thank
Jai
you so
Baba.
much.
Naosherwan.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, everyone. Jai Baba, everyone. Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, kids.
Thank you so much. Jai Baba.
Okay. We'll see you
Thank
next time.
you, Go Hair.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Noah.
Baba.
Thank you, Goher. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday. Jai Baba.
Baba's great.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Bye.
Baba.
Jai Baba. Oh, Meher Baba. Thank you.
Well, Richard, I guess it's just me and you then for the moment. I was busy looking up his website. I want to check out what he says about meditation. Elimination of negative thoughts. That sounds good.
He has a book with a CD in the back that I bought, and it's really good.
Oh, really? Oh,
You can get it from the Shariar Press or him, you know.
being a safe side. Do you know what the name of it is?
Yeah, it's in my bedroom. I'll go get it.
Okay, thank you.
Give me a minute.
One of the nation's best hospitals and systems. Tampa General Hospital is moving critical care forward as a leader in the state for complex surgeries. We're the nation's top 10% for cancer care, top 10% for
Here's the cover.
Oh.
And it's called Meditation for a New Humanity by Meher Baba. And in the back, they got this nice CD, which is not in the back. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, where'd it go? I think it's in my bedroom inside the stereo, you know, because I.
Wow. Do you know what he covered? It sounds.
There's different types of meditation, so I like the third one, part 3. So I did it for a while, but I stopped doing it because I wanted to lay down, and he says to sit up, but I don't know if it matters. I should have asked him, does it matter if you lay down or sit up? Because you're supposed to find a comfortable position, you know, but me, if I lay down, I guess I'd go to sleep because I space out really quick, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the meditation teacher said the same thing. Just, you know, do whatever posture we want as long as we don't go to sleep. If we're prone to go to sleep, if we lay down, don't do it.
But he says to do it in the same place all the time, you know, with whatever position you take, that you should do, you know, focus on that. Yeah.
And this is Naosherwan?
Yeah. I saw him. He came to Chicago a couple years ago at a gathering, and he brought the book with and, you know, talked about it. So I bought it when he was there.
Huh.
I should have had him sign it.
And is it Nosh, N-A-S-H, his nickname?
It's like Nosh, N-O-S-H.
N-O-S-H, okay. Wow, there's more people. I thought it was just 2 people. I'm glad people are coming on.
Yeah. Naosherwan Anzar.
Right, and he has a nickname. People call him Nash or Nosh.
Yeah.
Nosh, like eat, like, yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, I don't know what that. Well, I mean, I heard of Nosh, just not the spelling. So I'll take it N-O-S-H.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I think he was describing when he was describing the meditation? I didn't get it all, but it sounds like japa, like real japa. Where you go, I guess, in taking the
Well, it has to do with
first
what he does is
when
talks
exhale,
about
take it
he talks about breathing, you know, in the thing, breathing, you know, like breathing and then focusing on, you know, the different parts of your body, like relax at the crown of your head and through the back of your head and let your eyes sink in and your cheeks fade and your ears and relax your shoulders. And so he goes through relaxing your body, breathing, and then, you know, examining why you're meditating